Have you ever found yourself trying to turn into a gas station and realizing that your turn signal has got Coke dick and it's not working? And when you turn your steering wheel, the horn just starts blowing off, causing a scene? Been there. So, you know, like anybody else would do in that moment, you just grab a hold of the fucking horn button and you rip it off and break it so you can disconnect it, and then it still doesn't fix the problem. So you disconnect the horns under the hood and you realize that the issue is that you need to replace this multi-function switch, which is inside the steering column. That's what we're gonna do today, and I'm gonna show you how real fast. So hope you like it. Now, as you can see, I'm already missing the screw, but here's the fastener I need to take out. It's a 7mm. I'm gonna go ahead and yank that out real quick and pull this button off the right way so I can fix it. There she is. There's the back side of her, and there's the center of the column. We gotta pull that little insulator out. We're gonna go ahead and take this nut off and then try to wiggle the shit out of the steering wheel. Sometimes you gotta use a steering wheel puller. I got one. Hopefully we can just wiggle the living piss out of it and it'll come off. Let's find out. Now you can see we got a 21mm that fits this. Now the cool thing about standard and metric sockets is a lot of times you can find a metric size socket that'll fit a standard size fastener. I don't know what size this is. I could look it up. I could lie to you. I don't fucking know. A 21 fits without a whole lot of slop. We're gonna let her slide in there. Way overkill because this is what I have, and we're gonna take it off. Away she goes, boys. I didn't record, but thankfully I just wiggled the shit out of the steering wheel left and right. So 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock and just fucking wiggle. And she popped right off. And now we have a steering wheel in our hands. Okay. Now this little plastic piece, you just got to kind of wiggle it, pull it out, put it to the side on the dash, put it somewhere you're probably going to forget where you put it. And now you have this plate here. You have to use a special tool that I'm about to show you to grab onto the shaft. Grab onto the shaft. You got to grab onto the shaft and it'll press this down to remove that little lock ring in there. You see that shiny ring? It's a lock ring we got to get out. I got this kit pretty cheap on Amazon. Yeah, you can get some super expensive kits for hundreds of dollars, but I don't think that anyone should ever spend that kind of money on something they're not going to use a whole lot. So buy something that's cheap and works and pray. That's what we're doing here today. So please God. We got our tool all set up here. We've got it pressing in on here. We're going to hold this and turn this nut. And what that's going to do is that's going to squeeze this together so we can remove this little lock ring. I've just squeezed it down and you can see that lock ring is popped out now. So I'm just going to pry that bad boy out of there and remove it. So I just used a little pick to pick it up and now moved it out here. I'm going to remove the pressure from this nut here while holding this. This is going to come off. It's going to relieve the tension on that pressure plate. I'm going to remove all this stuff. All right, we got the tension relieved here. I'm just going to go ahead and pull this off after I unthreaded this from the steering shaft. Now we're going to remove this little plate and this ring. Now, whenever we reinstall this, we're going to squeeze this back together before we reinstall it. We're not going to leave it like this. For now, throw it somewhere where it's probably going to get lost. We're going to put it right here and hope that we remember it. And then remove our little pressure plate. Remove our little pressure plate there. Okay. Now we're looking at some guts. Go ahead and remove this horn contact ring. That's part of your horn system. Now, it looks like we found the actual problem, which is, look at this. That shouldn't move. This fastener is super loose, and that's what keeps this in line. So right now it should operate properly if I just hand tighten this a little bit. Yep. So it's actually operating properly. So tightening that fastener did fix the functionality of that switch, but the threads aren't good where that threads into. I went to tighten it down and it spun at the end. So that's going to eventually wear out. We're going to go ahead and replace that while we're in here. We're going to go ahead and remove that fastener. We're going to go ahead and take that out. That's the first step. Pull it out. Again, sit it down in your pile of stuff that you're probably going to knock around and fucking lose, but hopefully it's going to stay right there. Sit it down there. Now, the next thing we have to do is we have to remove the screws that hold this together. So there's one here, there's one here, and then there's one back here. So you have to move this signal switch to be able to get to that one. We're going to remove all three of those. Be right back. Forgot to mention, you need to remove your hazard switch before you do that. So remove your hazard switch. It's a little Phillips head in there. It may be a Torx bit. Mine's rounded out. I don't know. This one, a Phillips head works. So whatever works. Yep. And she pops out, and then and you put her down in your pile of shit, and then you should hopefully be able to just looky there. This whole assembly is going to come out. Pull a little bit of slack down there. Now is the fun part. We have to fish the other end of this through here. Fish this one down through there to be able to replace that. So here we go. All right, so now we go under the column. Had to pull this little panel off that goes right in front of here. Now this is the connector that we're talking about. We got to get this pulled out. I'm going to show you how to in a minute. But first thing we have to do is we have to remove these 13 millimeter bolts that hold the steering column. Let's go ahead and remove those. Now that we got those 4 bolts removed, we have to remove these other 2 nuts to be able to drop the steering column and make some room in there. And these are going to be 15 millimeters. All right, these are the pieces of connector that was connected to this connector here on the side of the column, but whenever I went to disconnect it, it broke. This is the old connector that's going to be replaced with this new connector. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape this side. I've got a fish tape used for running wire. I'm going to tape this together so I can pull it through the column. You can use just a piece of coat hanger or a piece of wire, whatever you have, but you want something to be able to pull through this column to where you have something to then tape to up here and pull the new wiring down to here. I'll show you what I mean. We got this old wiring harness taped up to our pull line. You can see whenever we pull here, it's pulling here. Now we just got to feed this through here and feed it through the column. You may see it looks a little bit different here. That's because I got impatient and I broke the plastic piece that goes right here because it's a shit box and I don't care. But we got the old wire through here attached to our fish tape. We're going to cut our tape. We're going to tape our fish tape to the connector of our new switch, and then we're going to feed it through there without breaking anything, putting it back together. All right, we got our fish through with our new switch. We're going to cut our tape here, reconnect our connector down here at the bottom of the column, and start putting everything back together. Got it mostly all put back together here now, and before I put this turn signal cancel cam in, I got a new one, so we're going to put the new one in instead of the old one, and then we're going to reinstall our little pressure plate here with our clip that we're going to straighten out, put our steering wheel back on, and put our nut back on. Here we go. All right, now before we put our pressure plate back on, we got to straighten out and return our little clip back to a circle. Place it on the shaft. We're going to put our tool back on, press her down, snap her in, take the tool back off. And that's all she wrote. Take our tool back off there, get it out of the bind. There we go. Now we've got to put the steering wheel back on and see if she works. Steering wheel's on, nuts on. Let's give her about 3/8 of an ugga dugga. Yep, good to go. Now, whenever I had my little freak out when all this shit was going down, I just ripped my horn button off, and you can see that it's broken. I'm gonna use good old-fashioned Loctite super glue to glue that together and let that set up. And while that's setting up and while we're waiting, go ahead and click those like and subscribe buttons so you can help me chase my dreams. Thanks. Now we're going to go ahead and start putting our tools up, and like every mechanic knows, whenever you start putting your tools up and you find an extra piece that you forgot to install, the thing that you do is a quick hack. You just fucking throw it away and act like it doesn't even exist. Then you pick it up, take your steering wheel back off, put the part back on, and put your steering wheel back on, because that's the right way to do things. Oh yeah. That was a nugget dugget and a half, my bad. Right, we got her back together. Now horn works, but we can turn the steering wheel and the horn doesn't go off. Now, left blinker, right blinker. I'll be dipped in shit. Good to go, gang gang.